In this video, I'm going to show you how to hand sew this adorable little pumpkin. It's super easy and no special sewing skills are required. So let's jump in and make this cute pumpkin. For this project, you're going to need some glue, a pair of scissors, some orange thread, some orange embroidery floss. You're going to need a cinnamon stick. In fact, I am just going to use a half a cinnamon stick for mine. You're going to need a tapestry or yarn needle for your embroidery floss, and then you'll need a sewing needle for your thread. You'll need some filling for your pumpkin. Now, I have fiber fill here. You can use yarn scraps, fabric scraps, whatever you like, but just something to stuff it with. And then as an option, you can tie some pretty ribbon around the stem, which I'm going to do too. For the fabric, I just have some scrap orange fabric, and I'm just going to use a little piece of this, just 8.5 inches wide and 5.5 inches tall, okay? So let's start by cutting our fabric. So I'm going to grab my scissors, and I'm just going to cut the piece. I've already measured, and I know that it's like 2 of these with this fold here. You can iron this if you want, you don't need to. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our fabric and we're going to fold it in half, okay? And we're going to sew along the edge here and then along the side, okay? Now you don't have to be an expert at sewing to sew this. We're just going to do a very easy running stitch all along this edge, and as you can see, I'm kind of doing a couple stitches at a time. This is going to be the inside of our pumpkin, so it doesn't have to be perfect or beautiful, and we're going to stuff it, so this is pretty forgiving. And once you go through as far as you can with your needle, just pull it through. I put a knot down at one end to start, and you can just kind of pull it through, and you can see we just have a very simple little running stitch across here, okay? And we're just going to go all the way across here, just like that, okay? So go along this edge, and then we're going to, like I mentioned before, we're going to go down this one side as well, okay? So what we want to do for this edge, though, we sandwich these together and we sewed this close. But for the bottom, this is going to be the bottom of our pumpkin, we're going to open our fabric up, and we're going to go along the edge now with our running stitch, okay? Because what we're going to do is we're going to draw this closed like a drawstring, okay? Now, if you're doing this project with kids, what you'll want to make sure is that you're supervising as much as you need to with the needle and thread. And, you know, or if you have young kids working on this, you can do this part as a grown-up too. Okay, so I just went all around the edge with my needle like that. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it closed. Now see how it closed up nice and neat? Like a nice little cinch. Now, you want to kind of pinch it like this, and we're just going to put a couple of strong knots. So pull your needle almost all the way through and then send it through that loop, and that'll kind of create a knot. And do this about 3 times just to create a nice, strong, sturdy bottom for your pumpkin. Okay, again, pull it almost all the way through, leaving a loop, okay? Just like that. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to snip our thread. You don't need to worry about these ends because they're going to be tucked inside the pumpkin. And we're going to turn our little pumpkin right side out. And as you can see, it makes a nice little cinch at the bottom. And then we're going to take our pumpkin, and it looks kind of like a little sleeve right now, and it has a closed bottom. And we're going to take our filling, and I like to do a little bit at a time because it keeps it from getting too lumpy. I'm going to zoom out so you can see a little bit better. And just stuff a little bit at a time until your pumpkin feels pretty nice and full, okay? So just grab a little bit at a time and stuff it in there, a little bit at a time and stuff it in there, okay? You want it to be stuffed so that it looks firm like this, but you don't want it to be overstuffed because then it'll kind of stretch and kind of all your stitches that you made, it'll kind of pull them apart, okay? So I still have my needle here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to sew around the top edge of our pumpkin, okay? So you're going to come in from the inside, and you're going to pull it almost all the way through, but you want to leave a little bit of a tail here at the end, okay? Because we're going to use that to pull it shut like a drawstring. And then we're just going to go around and do the same thing that we did before with our running stitch. Just go in and out all the way around. It doesn't have to be perfectly spaced or evenly spaced. I'm just kind of zipping around here real quick with my needle. All right, and now we're back at the beginning. So I'm going to go in back into the inside part because that's where my other tail was, and pull it through, and I can pull my needle off. So I just have 2 strands of the thread. And then I'm going to take them in my hand like this, make sure all the stuffing is kind of smushed down, and just pull it closed, okay? Just like that. And I'm going to take my thread and just tie it a nice strong knot, okay? Now it looks kind of funny right now. It doesn't look very pumpkin-y. It just kind of looks like an orange blob right now. So what we're going to do is just tie this down nice and neat. Just try to be as neat as possible. And if you had the edge here where it's a little fringy looking like this, you can trim that too as well. So just give it a little trim if you need to. We're going to add some segments. So if you look at our original fabric pumpkin, it has little segments on it. We're going to add some segments to it. So we're going to use a larger needle and our embroidery floss for this part. So when you have embroidery floss, it has 2 little bands on it, and you can find the end. Leave those bands on because it keeps it from tangling, and just kind of hold the bands like this. And if you pull it out, it'll stay nice and neat. Just a little tip. Okay, and then take your scissors, give it a trim, and then you're going to thread your embroidery floss with your needle and just leave a little tail here like that. Then grab your pumpkin. Let me just sweep these crumbs out of the way. Grab your pumpkin, and you're going to come in from the bottom, and you're going to go through the middle of your pumpkin to the top like this. And you're going to bring your embroidery floss almost all the way through. See how I have a tail at the bottom here? And you're going to wrap. Now I like to wrap it on the seam to start, just so it's hidden. You're going to wrap it around your pumpkin, and then you're going to go and do the same thing with your needle. Go up through the middle, come out at the top, and just kind of pull it, okay? Just kind of pull it, and what it does is it creates a little cinch, okay? And we're going to kind of tighten these up in a little bit. Wrap your embroidery floss around the pumpkin one more time. And we're just going to do this all the way around until our pumpkin has some cute little segments on it. It makes it look more realistic, okay? Now see how we have another cinch? Wrap it around once more and try to make them evenly spaced. Again, it doesn't have to be beautiful and perfect. This is a handmade, hand-sewn little project. And when you pull it snug, it kind of creates that segment in your pumpkin. Wrap it around one more time. Coming from the bottom, go up through the top, and give it a snug, little tug, okay? You can look at the top view and see how your segments are evenly spaced. We need one more segment just to make it look balanced. And we're just going to do the same thing. Come in from the bottom, go to the top, and let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see what I have here. And we have a nice little segmented pumpkin. Now, you're going to have different amounts of fill, the filling that we put in here, and you're going to pull this at different, tension levels. So every pumpkin will look different. No 2 pumpkins look the same. And I like that about it. Next thing we're going to do is come back down. We're going to come back down and see where we had our other tail. And what you want to do is you want to take your 2 ends and just tie them firmly, okay? Because we want it to all stay together. Grab your scissors, give it a little snip, just like that. And then just kind of fluff it up and decide what end you like better. Do you like this for the bottom, or do you like this for the bottom? I kind of like the bottom ended up actually being a little bit nicer looking. So we're going to grab our cinnamon stick, and this is where I cut mine in half with an old pair of scissors, or you can use a pair of wire cutters just to snip it in half. But if you use a full cinnamon stick, it'll be very, very tall because you can't really drill it into there. But we're going to glue this down like this. And then we're also going to get a piece of ribbon. So cut yourself a piece of ribbon. I'm gonna use my bigger scissors for this. I use just some cute little burlap ribbon, very inexpensive. And before I glue this down, I'm gonna tie it around the stem, okay? So go ahead and tie your ribbon around your stem before you glue it. I'm kind of holding the stem in place because I wanted to see how it looked before I commit to my glue, okay? So just tie it on there like that. And this back part looks a little bit nicer. See, it's a little bit wider. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of put it down in there and shape it. And what I did to make it look extra nice is you might want to kind of twist it around, rearrange it, and then take your scissors. And I did kind of an angled cut with my ribbon. And that makes it just look a little bit more finished. Again, it's not glued yet, so, and you can see how that looks, okay? And we're going to drop some glue down in here. All right, I put a nice little blob of glue in here, and I put the rougher edge of my cinnamon stick pointing down. That nice little flat edge will be at the top, okay? And then you're just gonna kind of squish it in there and get it all positioned, get your ribbon positioned. And if you need to trim your ribbon just to make it look a little bit nicer, you know, this is a good time to do that. Just shape it up a little, trim it down however you need. And our little pumpkin is complete. You can see, no two pumpkins are alike. You wanna let this completely dry, probably overnight before it's secure. But no two pumpkins are alike. They all look a little bit different and they're so cute and fun to make. You can set these just about anywhere. So that's how you make an easy hand-sewn pumpkin craft. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Sparkle and Splatter video updates. Bye everyone!